On tonight's episode, the Squire of Gothos, an obvious predecessor to our beloved Q.
Look.
Where are all your weapons, Captain?
The Enterprise crew encounter an abnormal planet that scrambles their communications, and upon further investigation, Kirk and Sulu suddenly disappear. One of the main functions of a pre-credit sequence is to convince the audience to watch the rest of the episode, and this episode is surely engaging before the opening credits even start.
Sulu.
Scans show the planet to be uninhabitable, inhibiting any search attempts, but then an odd message is sent to the Enterprise invoking confusion and curiosity.
Yep. Hurrah. And I believe it's pronounced tally-ho.
Some kind of a joke, sir?
Bones and two randoms teleport down to the planet wearing life support systems to find that the atmosphere of this planet matches Earth's exactly. This episode does a good job of setting up all these unanswered questions. This mystery is rather complex with a lot of things going on.
Atmosphere exactly the same as ours.
A 17th century castle from Earth on a far off distant alien planet. Okay, sure, why not? The music in this sequence conveys tension perfectly. This is a bizarre, odd situation, and the minor chords played slowly and massaged into suspense is the perfect atmosphere for this sequence. Bones and crew then find Kirk and Sulu frozen in time, but this only leads to their own capture.
There's no reading. They're like waxworks figures.
The mastermind of this kidnapping then reveals himself. His name is Trelane and he's the squire of this planet. He's suave and sophisticated with a 17th century aesthetic, but there's underlining tension to everything he says. He's obviously a menacing character, and a lot of his characteristics are mirrored by John Delancey's portrayal of Q later on in TNG.
Oh, come now. We're all military men under the skin. And how we do love our uniforms.
Trelane's ancient aesthetics matching 17th century Earth is because he's been spying on Earth, but his instruments take so long to bring the information back to him that he's viewing the past. Now this is an obvious attempt to use pre-existing sets and props that CBS had laying around to save money. But hey, you know, they said something. They did a little cool sci-fi concept to make use of the props and sets to save money. You can't fault them. Well, you could, but I'm not going to.
And you've been looking in on the doings 900 years past.
Oh, really? If I made an error in time.
The hostage situation ramps up in tension as Kirk becomes angry at their prolonged capture, and as always, Shatner does intensity extremely well.
Here, let me fetch them down at once.
No.
No.
This game has gone on long enough. Those are crucial operating personnel.
I can do anything I want.
Spock and Scotty manage to beam our captured crew up onto the bridge, and just as they're about to warp away, Trelane then teleports onto the bridge.
Get off my ship.
Oh, rot. You're all going back with me.
We're not going anywhere.
Nonsense. I have an absolutely enchanting sojourn on Gothos planned for all of you.
The bridge crew is then teleported down onto Gothos, and Trelane's motivations are still in question. He seems to just want to play with his hostages like cheap toys, and at this point in the narrative, it is starting to feel a bit repetitive.
That dress hardly matches this charming scene.
Random shenanigans continue to ensue, and our iconic trio speculate about Trelane's powers and a possible thinking machine behind his abilities. They also notice this mirror that he seems to be entranced by.
The mirror.
What about it?
You noted yourself. He never gets very far away from it. I suppose it could be vanity.
No, Mr. Spock, that's what it is.
Kirk provokes his omnipotent opponent into a duel, but he has other motivations at hand. Either way, this story is spiraling upwards in a surreal spiral of suspense.
I've decided to make my move with the Field of Honor game, and everything depends on my one chance with the ancient dueling pistol.
During the duel, Kirk fires at Trelane's mirror, destroying it and revealing it to indeed be his thinking machine and the source of all his powers. Our crew then, once again, escape Gothos and Trelane and teleport onto the bridge. I thought at this point this was a rather lackluster third act, but she's not over! We still got 15 minutes left! As the Enterprise tries to speed away, it keeps on encountering the planet again and again. They can't escape from it. They escape, they're recaptured, they escape, they're recaptured, they escape, then they're recaptured.
Cat and mouse game.
With us as the mouse.
There it is again, dead ahead. 90 degrees to starboard, Mr. Sulu.
This court case with Trelane and Q undeniably mirrors Q's judgment on the Enterprise D crew during encounter at Farpoint. Anyone who says that Roddenberry wasn't influenced by this story while creating Q is in denial.
And now, Captain James Kirk, you stand accused of the high crime of treason against the superior authority, conspiracy, and the attempt to foment insurrection.
Kirk convinces Trelane to punish him entirely and let the Enterprise go. This scene is very ominous and dark. There's this lurking shadow of a noose thirsty for Kirk's neck the whole time. It's quite surreal.
And this time, my instrumentality is unbreakable.
I've had enough of your games.
Kirk once again manipulates Trelane into not murdering him by hanging him, and instead facing him in strength and wit in a battle to the death. Trelane is nothing but a kid looking for fun and new experiences, so of course he agrees to this battle.
Now, you may go hide in the forest anywhere you like, and I shall seek. How does that strike you, Captain?
Strikes me very well.
The two snake through this obviously fake forest as Trelane strikes out at an unarmed Kirk. The Squire's abilities are soon seen to outmatch Kirk tenfold. This creates stakes, which could actually convince the audience that Kirk is in danger for once.
Touché, Captain, touché. I must confess you scored first. But after all, I never played this game before.
Normally our competent captain just bares his fists and beats the shit out of his opponents, overpowering them easily. Normally his shirt always gets ripped too, so you can see a bit of his bare chest. But in this conflict, he's on the run, he's on the back foot. He's not just beating the shit out of his opponent, he's actually outmatched.
And now let's have at it again.
Just when he seems to be completely defeated, Kirk snatches the Squire's sword and snaps it with his bare hands. I guess he is just a masculine, super powerful alpha male who can overpower anyone and snap steel with his bare hands. Maybe it was a cheap sword. I mean, it sure looks like a cheap sword. Maybe within the narrative it was a cheap sword and not just on set.
But I'm not defeated.
I order you! You broke it! You broke my sword!
You got a lot to learn about winning, Trelane.
Then in a true TOS cliche twist, it turns out that Trelane is actually a needy, whingy child who's been playing around, and his parents rock up in the sky as these green energy blobs. This has become a cliche over time, and I feel like not that many TOS episodes actually end in this twist. But 50 years ago when it aired, this would have been interesting and different. It's just now that we've become so accustomed to this TOS cliche that when it comes at you now, you're like, oh, it's one of those episodes where this happens. Where the main antagonist is actually a child and his parents come in and smack his bum and the credits roll. Okay.
You'll grow up, Trelane. You'll understand. Now come along.
Oh, but you said I could. You promised. I'd never have any fun.
Stop that nonsense at once.
In conclusion, this story isn't boring. It's not particularly bad either. It's enjoyable but somewhat repetitive. It seems to go around in our crew being captured and escaping and captured and escaping. There's no in-depth social commentary, which is not great because that's one of the main elements that TOS did so well. But because of its obvious influence on later Trek and the creation of Q, not just Q, but the race Q, it's memorable, and the performance by the guy who plays Trelane is great. Thank you for watching. Really help out if you could like, subscribe, and in the comments tell me how I got all the facts wrong and how my opinion is null and void. Thank you, and good night.